The federal government established a center to control small arms and light weapons.
We will continue to profile whoever is coming into Bauchi State.
Bauchi to scrutinize all people coming into the state as Northeast Development Commission support IDPs in Yobe.
Over the past 10 years, one journalist has been killed every 4 days, and 90% of these crimes remain unpunished.
Press Freedom Day 2021 Voices for Free Media resonates just as responsible journalism is advocated. Good evening and thank you for joining us on NTA Network News. I am Kenan Ima Amodike. Jennifer Igwe joins us from Lagos and Kemi Akinwode is in our Ibadan studio. Let's kick off with security matters as President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the establishment of a national center for the control of small arms and light weapons to be domiciled in the office of the National Security Advisor. A statement from the Office of the National Security Advisor says the center replaces the defunct Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons and shall serve as the institutional mechanism for policy guidance, research and monitoring of all aspects of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria. The impact of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons across national borders in Africa and the Sahel region has resulted in terrorism, human trafficking, organized crime and insurrections in West Africa and Nigeria. Hence the need to upscale measures to tackle these threats. The statement notes that the new center will be fulfilling the requirements of the ECOWAS moratorium on import, export, and manufacture of light weapons, as well as the UN Plan of Action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons. Major General Abba Mohamed Dikir, former military advisor, United Nations Office for West Africa, and Commander Operation Lafia Dole, has been appointed the pioneer coordinator of the center. Troops of the newly reinvigorated Operation Hiding K thwarted Boko Haram terrorists' attempt to infiltrate into Ran town, the capital of Kalabalge local government of Borno State. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Mohammed Yarima, says the terrorists met stiff resistance as troops rapidly repelled the terrorists, forcing them to withdraw in disarray with injuries, leaving behind several weapons and ammunitions. Similarly, another band of Boko Haram terrorists attacked Ajiri town of Konduga local government area, Borno State, killing some residents and burning 9 houses before they were engaged by the troops deployed in the area. Brigadier General Yarima notes that the retreating terrorists suffered gunshot injuries while troops around the chase. 2 personnel, however, paid the supreme price in the encounter. In demonstration of efficacy in the power of prayers to solve all kinds of problems, government and the people of Niger State have gone to God in supplication to end incessant security challenge that has continued to rock the state. The special prayer session organized by the State Forum of Ulamas, traditional institutions and other Islamic organizations was held at Mina Central Mosque. Husseina Musa reports that the event had in attendance the State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, Emir of Mina Alhaji Umaru Farouk and other people of vested interest.
Reports have shown that thousands of people in 50 communities spread across 5 local government areas of Niger State have been displaced by bandits and currently taking refuge in neighboring communities and the state capital. The special prayer session, which was led by the chief imam of Mina, Malam Ibrahim Isa Fari, featured Quranic recitation by a large number of ulamas to seek Allah's infinite love and mercy to mankind to heal the land and put a permanent end to the security challenges bedeviling the state and country at large. The state governor, who was in company of other government functionaries, described the event as timely and right step in the right direction.
In the last 48 hours, we have received a lot of support with regards to security agents from the federal government, and I believe they are mobilizing themselves.
The governor also enthused that with the present vigor and commitment by the federal government and other stakeholders to end agency, there is light at the end of the tunnel, assuring that the displaced people will soon be back to their various communities and villages. The special prayer session is expected to be replicated across the 7 emirate councils in the state. Emina Hussaina Musa, NT News.
As the nation continues to seek solutions to the rise in insecurity in the country, Ebonyi State government, in collaboration with Christian Association of Nigeria, Ebonyi State chapter, has declared 7-day fasting and prayer in the state with a call for the political class to desist from utterances and actions capable of fueling crises in the country. Chika Okorie reports.
While praying God to help the nation come out of insecurity, Governor David Umahi called on the political class to eschew politics of calumny, rancor, and bitterness, stressing that the state and country can achieve more development if citizens are on the same page with government.
When people talk about party, when the nation is bleeding, when the nation is also, I pity them. It means with one company.
He emphasized the need to pacify the youth as it will stem the rates of criminalities in the society.
For the leaders now preserve life for the future of our children. They have no jobs. They have no means of livelihood. Who knows how to fight? Who knows how to give and continue to go to the end? And secure our nation.
The 7 days program aimed at seeking God's intervention on the security situation in the state and the country at large will also pave way for stakeholders' engagement in addressing youth-related challenges in the state. In Abakaliki, Chika Okorie, NTA News.
And still on security matters, 4 suspects have been apprehended by the Kaduna State Police Command in connection with the recent abduction and killing of 6-year-old Mohammed Kabiru in Kaduna. Achari Maxwell reports that 3 of the suspects are from the same neighborhood with the slain Mohammed.
Mohammed Kabiru was abducted from his parents' house in Badarawa, area of Kaduna metropolis, on the 24th of April. Few days later, his abductors demanded for a ransom of 30 million naira, which was negotiated to 1 million naira. Muhammad's lifeless body was later found in a drainage in Kano, even when the ransom was paid.
They kill him and they collect the money in Zaria.
4 suspects, the neighbor who allegedly conspired and picked up the child from home in Badarawa, the person who took him to Zaria and later to Kano, the negotiator, and the woman who accommodated them in Kano have been apprehended by the police.
Mohammed Nazifi, on sensing the possibility of the victim revealing his identity after regaining freedom, they decided to strangle him to death and conceal the body in a drainage system in outskirts of Kano Municipal, Kano State.
Where the ransom was paid, that buried the 1 million naira. So that buried day, when I met with Nazifi, that these people has paid 1 million naira. He said, why do we collect 1 million naira? After he told us that the father has money. We say, we see the father drag, maybe you don't have by that time. He said, we don't have to do that. And already that I have give the Umar 150,000. That was the time when SB was telling me that there is problem. I asked him, what is the problem? He said, if possible, let that boy not come back.
The sum of 800,000 was recovered from the suspect. The remains of Muhammad have been buried, but the family is seeking for justice. The suspects, upon completion of investigation, will be charged to court for criminal conspiracy, kidnapping, and culpable homicide. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
Very incredible times indeed. The government of Abuja State says it has noticed the presence of some criminal elements who have infiltrated 4 local areas in the state. Secretary to the government of Abuja State, Sabio Baba, made a disclosure after an emergency security meeting. Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports that criminal elements are taking advantage of displaced persons seeking refuge in Abuja State.
A lot of influx of people moving into Bauchi State.
Mostly from Yobe State. The displaced persons, according to the Secretary to the government of Bauchi State, Sabiu Baba, were displaced by the recent attack on Gaidam town.
We will continue to profile whoever is coming into Bauchi State. I can tell you that some people come in with weapons, and it is the profiling that will help us stem that kind of problem.
The weapons being carried out, being carried around by some of these criminals are being tackled, and some of them have been recovered by us.
The bandits have reportedly scuttled telecommunication masts in Gamawa local government area in order to facilitate their nefarious acts. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, the Northeast Development Commission has presented to Yobe State government consignment of food and non-food items for onward distribution to people affected by recent insurgent attacks in the state. The chairperson House of Representatives Committee of the Commission, Khadija Bukar Aber, and the Managing Director, Mohammed Goni Alkali, handed over the items to the State Deputy Governor for delivery to the targeted beneficiaries. Adam Yusuf Ali reports.
The consignment of assorted relief materials were handed over to the State Deputy Governor Idi Barde Gubana by the Managing Director of the Northeast Development Commission, Mohammed Goni Alkali, in company of the Chairman House Representatives of the Commission, Khadija Bukar Abe Ibrahim, in Damaturu, the state capital. This is after the Northeast Development Commission delegation, in a meeting with Yobe State government, commiserated with residents of Gaidam and Kanama.
We in Commission, we are always that support you and provide the necessary facilities, necessary support, and we are going to work as partners.
The State Deputy Governor, Idi Barde Gubana, and the Commissioner of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Abubakar Garba Ilya, appreciated the Northeast Development Commission for the timely intervention.
The Northeast Development Commission has been providing strong partnership with us in the post-insurgency settlement, rehabilitation and construction drive of the state.
Under its Rapid Response Initiative, the Northeast Development Commission has provided facilities across Yobe State with 94 projects in health, education, water supply and sanitation, as 80% of such ongoing projects at 80% level of completion. In Damaturu, Adam Yusuf Ali, NTA News.
We'll pause for some messages now. The news continues after this timeout. Join us again. Welcome back. It's World Press Freedom Day, and in many countries, observers say journalists and media workers face censorship, abuse, harassment, detention, and even death simply for doing their jobs. As the world marks this year's Press Freedom Day, key players have urged government at all levels to do everything in their power to support independent and free media. Adebola Bruskler Sunday takes a look at the day and its significance.
Every year, journalists all over the world celebrate the fundamental principles of press freedom. It is also an occasion to evaluate and defend the media from attacks on their independence and to pay tributes to journalists who lost their lives while performing their duty. 2021 reports of Reporters Without Borders shows that 387 journalists are in detention globally, and that the biggest jailers are China, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. The study also cited high crackdowns on journalists in some other countries. 30 years after the landmark adoption of the Windhoek Declaration at a UNESCO conference, media practitioners converged physically and virtually on Namibia, the birthplace of press freedom, to celebrate this year's Freedom Day for the development of a free, independent and pluralistic press.
Over the past 10 years, one journalist has been killed every 4 days, and 17 have already lost their lives in 2021, and 90% of these crimes remain unpunished.
The United Nations is also working on how to prevent the coronavirus pandemic from becoming a media extinction event.
It has accelerated the financial decline of many public interest media organizations, with estimated losses of $30 billion over the last year for newspapers alone.
Immediately cited the tripod.
In my engagement with Dorcas Abosede Olanrewaju, an online journalist, she told me she has suffered harassment while doing her job, adding that events of past years have reminded the world that access to reliable information is more than just a basic human right, but it can also be a matter of life and death.
To get some information, especially from the government offices, are usually hard. Sometimes you go, you are not acknowledged. Sometimes they treat you in a way as if what you are coming for is not important.
Acknowledging that there are more press freedom in Nigeria, she believes the situation can be enhanced, especially in the area of freedom of information.
Sometimes to get the information that you need to bring them into limelight, you have to lobby for it.
The focus this year is information as a public good, which organizers say affirms the importance of information in strengthening journalism as well as improving transparency and empowerment. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Away from World Press Freedom Day, the 9th meeting of the National Council on Land, Housing and Urban Development has approved the review of interest rates for mortgage loans not exceeding single digits to enable the public key into the loan scheme. This formed part of the resolutions contained in a 16-point communique issued at the end of the meeting in Jos. Priscilla Gurumnan reports.
The Council, which remains the highest policy advisory body in the lands, housing and urban development sector, considered a total of 28 actionable memoranda.
Deploying many strategies to reduce this housing gap, among which are the public-private partnership, where government will provide on-site and off-site infrastructure and land at a subsidized amount.
While the meeting asked all to demonstrate renewed commitment to the implementation of the FG Urban Renewal and Slum Upgrading Program, the Council also resolved to intensify effort. It also approved the presentation of an executive bill to the National Assembly for a law to enforce the provisions of the Nigerian National Building Code. Council considered that all technical institutions and laboratories under the ministry be made available to all regulatory bodies in the building environment. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
And to health now, a recent survey by the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 shows most Nigerians no longer adhere to the safety protocols despite fear of possible third wave of the virus in the country. Health correspondent Uche Ugochukwu in this report takes a look at the situation in Abuja.
At the beginning of the outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria, safety measures were taken seriously in most public places. People became complacent to adhering to the safety protocols.
The heat is too much. I can't put it on.
This is the main entrance to Wuse Market, Abuja. For the period we were at the gate, people going in and out of the markets were without face mask.
I'm not with my face masks and my hand sanitizer because it's just as if there's nothing happening again.
Physical distancing, hand washing facilities at entrance of public places are also no longer observed. Dahiru Shuaibu, a resident of Abuja, believes he is not prone to the virus.
Me, like you, where I did yon now, that you no go catch me. This skin and for all people.
For persons like Dahiru, health experts advise.
Young, healthy people have died. And we still don't fully understand the long-term consequences of infection for those who survive. Many people who have suffered even mild disease report long-term symptoms including fatigue, weakness, brain fog, dizziness, tremors, insomnia, depression, anxiety, joint pain, chest tightness, and more.
Now, we have an added armament in AMRE. That is the vaccine. When you have the opportunity, it will be foolhardy not to make use of that opportunity.
As the chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 puts it, Nigeria must increase mass education on the virus, surveillance and isolation to prevent the looming third wave due to myths, misinformation and rumors about the coronavirus. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
It's time to join our Lagos Network Center. Hello, Jennifer. Over to you now.
Thank you, Kene. Now, in a world where fake news, conspiracy theories, and other unfounded information have become the order of the day, the theme for this year's World Press Freedom Day, information as a public good, is seen as timely in an attempt to redeem the image of the media. Our correspondent takes a look at this year's celebration and some of the key issues raised.
Maryland bus stop in Lagos is always a beehive, so I visit the area often to conduct my interviews. Like other days, I embarked on the journey and something happened.
That was Annie Daniels, an investigative journalist with the Nigerian Television Authority. In a line of duty, she has experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Who are supposed to give you the information you're looking for, elites. When you call them, they tell you come today, come tomorrow. You keep going to them, keep calling them, and you find out that what just means can't even speak to me on this issue. After all, you were there, or you know so much about this case or this incident, about this particular topic at hand. You just have to just keep hoping that someday things will get better, and also give journalists the respect, due them.
Her story is not different from other journalists world over. However, the Freedom of Information Act, which is a legislation that guarantees public access to records and information held in public domain, has opened doors of opportunities for journalists in Nigeria to have access to information.
We can also, through the Freedom of Information Bill, protect the interests of the public and, of course, expose some information that are hidden to members of the public. The right to know, for the public to know.
Just as the government is trying to make the journalism profession easy in the country, the media has had to tackle fake news, one of the very many cons of the new media. This has threatened the ethics of the profession. That is why the theme for this year's Press Freedom Day, information as a public good, is seen as being very apt.
You find out that because the profession is not regulated, it's now a profession for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You have people establishing blogs, online sites and what have you, just to place whatever they want there.
Those of us who are professionals are put on the defensive. So we have to mop the mess made by people who spread fake news, mostly on social media. Social media is the reason why fake news is prevalent. So it's more work for us because we have to go in depth, find out the facts and present to the same public. And it's tough convincing the public that what they heard before was fake, that our version is the truth.
For many Nigerian journalists like Annie Daniels, this year's celebration brings to bear the changing communication system that is impacting on health, human rights, democracies, and sustainable development, especially in a world just recovering from the deadly coronavirus. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi, NTA News.
Kende Adebisi for that report. Now to the economy. Nigeria's economy will attain the position of being the most resilient in Africa through intra-Africa export growth and economic diversification on the basis of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Senior Special Advisor to the President on Public Sector Matters and Secretary National Action Committee, Francis Anatogu, at a meeting with stakeholders stakeholders was emphatic on the need to uphold rules of origin on products. Abolade Salami reports.
Created with the objective to drive a single continental market and expand intra-African exports, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement will also facilitate competitiveness of the continents in the world's trade ecosystem. In view of this, stakeholders are comparing notes and making suggestions on the need for rules of origin meant to serve as a determining factor to identify the nationality of products.
And when we look at the metrics of $50 billion non-oil export by 2035, this is essentially, you can look at it as doubling what we get today from oil revenue. So if we are winning ourselves off oil, then at the minimum, we must make as much as we make from oil today.
While they agreed that rules of origin remains crucial to the realization and success of the Continental Free Trade Agreement in changing the narrative of exports, this, key players submit, would also help the country realize its aspiration of economic diversification.
Should be noted that rules of origin are the criteria needed to determine the national source of a product.
This development is pivotal for the revival of trade and economy of African nations and Nigeria in particular.
The Economic Recovery Growth Plan and Ease of Doing Business initiative of the federal government aimed at stimulating growth and sustainability of the economy. Stakeholders expressed confidence will further support the country's chances at the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Time for a break. Kene Mabodike would
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Welcome back. Microsoft is collaborating with the Nigerian government to accelerate digital transformation in the country as federal government prioritize non-oil export in a bid to diversify the economy. Musa Abubakar has details on business news.
Well, thank you, Kene. Microsoft is making moves to collaborate with the Nigerian government to accelerate digital transformation in the country. The technology giant and the federal government has detailed several projects aimed at intensifying the nation's move to become a more digital economy.
We believe in the future of Nigeria, and we are excited as a company to add to our investments. It's a country we've had the opportunity to get to know better over the last few years. In 2018, we partnered with tech experts to create a customer support center, a center that in Lagos already employs more than 1,600 people.
And will help us deal with unemployment problems made worse by the pandemic. In the area of digital transformation, we will pioneer innovative approaches in the fight against corruption, a major priority of this administration. Leveraging Microsoft's technology tools, which can be deployed to minimize governance risks and block loopholes, working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, we will seek to use cutting-edge analytical and case management tools to plug holes in our public sector system.
Is expected to create over 27 new digital jobs in the next 3 years. Now, the present administration has placed priority on non-oil exports and diversification of the economy, but the COVID-19 pandemic has posed challenges to export as well as other aspects of the economy. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed, in an exclusive interview on the state of exports in the country, says in spite of the challenges, federal government is committed to enhancing funding intervention to boost productivity and exports.
Nigeria is a country that is still largely dependent on export of crude oil. So the effort we're trying to put in, and also as committed in the national plan and Mr. President's directives, is to diversify to other export areas. We are increasing gradually. We now have a wider opportunity by the taking effect of the AFCFTA. So we have an opportunity to export more within the African region and generate more foreign exchange for the country, alternative to the oil.
Well, as business news, it's back to you, Kede.
Thank you, Musa. Now, let's quickly tell you that the military high command has reacted to a statement purported to have been made by one Robert Clark, son, suggesting that current political leadership should hand over power to the military for the purpose of restructuring. A statement by the acting director of Defense Information, Brigadier Onyema Nwachukwu, says the Nigerian military disassociate itself from such anti-democratic utterance and position, stressing that the armed forces of Nigeria remain fully committed to the present administration and all associated democratic institutions. The military, he said, shall continue to remain apolitical, subordinate to the civil authority, loyal to the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the 1999 Constitution as amended. The military high command warns misguided politicians who nurse the ambition to rule this country outside the ballot box to desist from such thoughts, as the military remains resolute in the defense of Nigeria's democracy and its growth. The statement also cautioned all military personnel that it is treasonable to even contemplate this illegality, as the full wrath of the law will be brought to bear on any personnel found to collude with such people having such agenda. It's noted that the current security challenges are surmountable, noting that the armed forces of Nigeria, in partnership with other security agencies, are working assiduously to ameliorate the challenge. Kemi in Ibadan is next with some reports from there.
Thank you, Kenny, and welcome to Ibadan. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has attributed the increase in the internally generated revenue in the state to the commitment of workers at both formal and informal sectors of the state. The governor stated this while speaking at the 2021 May Day celebration held at the Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, Ibadan. Ayomiku Ajibola reports.
Lauding the Oyo State workers for what he called their unflinching support and contribution towards the economic growth of the state, Governor Seyi Makinde said, according to the National Bureau of Statistics 2020 report, Oyo State is one of the top 3 states with the highest full-year internally generated revenue, with a growth of 42.23%, assuring the workers that their welfare will continue to be the priority of his administration. The governor stated that over 13 billion naira have been paid as gratuities to pensioners, with other measures such as car and housing loan attracting prompt approval by the state government.
We have already started speaking to investors in these sectors, and by the time we present our next scorecard, you will be seeing the results.
State Chairman NLC commended the state government for prompt and regular payment of their salaries. Scores of labor unions in Oyo State from the formal and informal sectors took part in a parade that marked the Workers' Day celebration in Ibadan. Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
As Ramadan enters the last 10 days of the fast, Muslims have been enjoined to take the lessons beyond this period, especially in being their brother's keeper to ensure a sustainable society at all times. This was the focus of the 2021 edition of the annual NTA Ibadan Ramadan lecture held within the station's premises. Correspondent Shola Wahid has details.
Taking his sermon from verses of the Holy Quran, guest lecturer Imam Muhyiddin Ayede urged Muslims to be guided by the words of Allah as stipulated in the Quran and Hadith of Prophet Muhammad.
We need to be our brother's keeper in every life endeavor. If you have the money, please save him.
If one is able to follow the injunctions of the Holy Quran, the emphasis there is about sustainability.
Zonal Director NTA Ibadan Network Center, Omolola Olorode charged everyone to live together in peace and harmony in order to have a conducive society.
You can't leave all the problems of the congregation to the leader alone. The leader will be overwhelmed with problems.
They should make sure that they work with the advice of being your brother's keeper.
Goodwill messages on the need for peaceful coexistence came from invited guests. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. More on the news after the break with Kene in Abuja.
Welcome back, and still at the reflection of the World Press Freedom Day, the Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria's called for sanctions on poor remunerations and irregular payment of salaries by some media organizations to media practitioners in Nigeria. In a statement on the World Press Freedom Day, Ibrahim Abdullahi, national coordinator of the group, wants the National Assembly to amend relevant parts of the laws setting up the Nigerian Press Council (NBC) and National Broadcasting Commission (NBC), giving the two regulatory bodies the powers to shut down any errant media organizations that deny its workers regular payments of salaries. The group commended journalists for their sacrifice, commitment, and dedication to duty, adding that like medical doctors, they too deserve special media salary scale (SMSs) as they work 24 hours of the day. In politics, the chairman of All Progressives Congress, caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee, and the governor of Yobe State, Mai Malabuni, has challenged Nigeria's non-career ambassadors to praise in building relationships and project the image of Nigeria in a positive light with the outside world. This was when the ambassadors visited the APC National Secretariat in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Wanara reports.
Having been cleared by the National Assembly and posted to their respective countries of primary assignment, the ambassadors are here to interact with the leadership of the APC and recommit themselves to service of the party and the country. Governor Mai Malabuni says, in view of the security challenges, the ambassadors should explore collectively their capabilities to finding solutions to the challenges facing the country and strengthen the relationship between Nigeria and their host countries.
The party also looks forward to a very positive working synergy with your excellencies in the interests of Nigeria and her citizens. On this note, I am happy to inform you that the party has agreed to set up a desk office for the purpose of liaising with the non-career ambassadors. In this regard, we request that you furnish the National Secretariat with details of your coordinating secretariat.
We are sure that our appointment is a call to service. We will serve the party with faithfulness, sincerity, and must work to ensure that the party constitution is upheld. Hence, we are aware that party interests prevails over our individual interests.
As the governing party, the APC, he says, is deeply concerned and interested in healthy relationship between Nigeria and international community. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Bade Adeleye will now bring us sports update.